Guess who's talking? It's Tamika Austin, and today I'm here with one of my favorite people in life. Not just today, but I mean in life. Tammy Munoz.
Well, thank you for such a great introduction, Tamika.
Of course. So we have Tammy here today because Tammy, at the beginning of the year, our board made a decision because we felt like politics, actually not we felt. We know how big the political process is in life. Like whether you want to be political or not, it's the way you feed your families, it's the way you live. You kind of need to know what's going on. So Tammy's new position at the beginning of this year, what's your formal title?
Political liaison.
That sounds very small, but it's huge what you do. Because liaison, I'm like, let's see, you do the PFC. So for our members, the PFC is the political field part of what we do. And Tammy, would you explain to our members what the PFC actually is?
So yes, the PFC is a committee of mostly rank and file members. You sit on the PFC and have for a few years.
Yes, I have.
We do have a new member as of today who's just accepted the position, and that is Scott. And so we're excited to have him in our June meeting. But we have rank and file members from UPS, from Wendigo Logistics, from United Airlines, from Cargill, Meat Solutions, and it's very important to have representatives from so many different crafts because they're the experts of what's going on at their job site, and they're the experts of what's going on in their neighborhoods. So when I say mostly, we do have some guest members. We have Paul Pearson, who is on the BLET, our sister Teamster union, and then we also do have a representative from the IBT as well. So, but mostly again, rank and file members who have a big job to play. The PFC currently right now is actually interviewing candidates and voting on endorsements for those candidates. So that is huge, especially with the elections that are coming up this November. Get drive contributions. They go out to work sites and they explain the importance of being active and the importance of being of funding the Drive and Education Fund, because no union dues are spent on candidates on politics. So we have to make sure that that money is coming in so that we can do the things that are so vital to keep our jobs protected.
Okay. So for members, just so you guys know, DRIVE stands for Democrat, Republican, Independent, Voter Education. So you just heard Tammy say union dues cannot be used for political candidates. That's why we have the PFC, and that's why we have DRIVE donations. So we really don't care if you're a Democrat, Republican, or Independent. We endorse candidates who are looking out for our members. And we are not looking at social issues in the sense of any of your social issues. They may be important to me personally, but as a PFC member, we are looking at these candidates and whether or not they are pro-labor and they are looking out for jobs that affect our members. Because, matter of fact, another union steward literally said to me the other day, you guys will never support a Republican. If you're a Republican and you support labor and us and you're not going to affect jobs, guess what? Because that's what we care about. And that's what DRIVE and the PFC does. Because I think there's this miscommunication. People are like, you're using my union dues. No, we're not. Just do a little bit of education. Come call Tammy, ask me. You heard Tammy say we have members that are at United Airlines, Hertz, Wendigo Logistics. So there's probably a PFC member in their barns. Am I right? I think we cover a lot of them.
We do cover a lot of them. The committee is not big to have one from each individual barn, but we do try to keep it well-rounded.
Okay, so there's been a lot of exciting stuff that happened because this year we introduced the bill. Would you explain the bill that we introduced?
Very excited to introduce this bill. It was called House Bill 24-1260, and we called it the Worker Freedom Act. And this bill would have allowed people to refrain from sitting in a captive audience meeting from an employer that is talking about political or religious matters and including whether or not to join a union. This bill, we started working on it last June, I believe, was when the conception of the bill came about, and it was introduced this session, which started in January. We have spent so much time with stakeholders on this bill. I do have to say, we worked with a very, very robust coalition of different unions, including the AFL and SEIU, to get this bill across the line, and everybody put so much hard work and effort into it. It passed the House by overwhelming majorities. We could not imagine the success that we had in the House. It went to the Senate. It passed the Senate with majority. We were so proud, and then it got hit. Then it landed on the governor's desk. And just this Friday, late afternoon, I got a call that Governor Polis decided to veto that bill.
I don't know about you, but when I heard the news, when I read it, it kind of broke my heart. I was very disappointed because I had literally just talked to another union steward and explained to him why this bill mattered. And I explained to him, he goes, well, they can't make you watch videos. I go, actually, there's no law in the books that says you can, and now we have this bill and we need Polis to sign it. He could have easily just not signed it and just let it go into law, and instead he took the extra step to go ahead and veto the bill. And I read his little press blurb on why he did it, and I'm just mind blown that we are in Colorado. We all know it's not as easy around from Texas. And I feel like we go so far, and then he vetoes this bill against workers. Would you explain to our listeners why this bill was like really so important? I don't think people realize you can have an employer that tells you you have to watch this video, and then they make you watch the video, or basically try to indoctrinate you into their beliefs. And this bill would have eliminated that. Am I right?
It wouldn't have eliminated it, but it would give you, as a worker, the option not to listen to it, not to participate, and to walk out of the meeting and not be retaliated against in any way. So a lot of the back and forth was that this infringed upon free speech, because the employer has the right to say what they want to say when they want to say it. They're paying you, you're on the clock, all of these different things. This bill did not infringe upon free speech. It said that you can still have your captive audience meeting if you so choose. But it is up to the employee if they want to sit and listen to that and be subject to whatever topic it is that you are pushing upon them. It has nothing to do with their job, has nothing to do with their job functions, or it does not give them any training or any of the governmental necessary kind of trainings that you would need. It didn't infringe on any of that. It just allowed a person that did not want to sit in a meeting to say who to vote for, what religion you should belong to, if you're making social choices in your life that other groups might not agree to, or if you should join a union or not. You did not have to sit in that meeting. You can return back to work. You cannot be retaliated against. And that's it. There was a very, very important piece to this, that if the company decided to still make that employee, after they decided they didn't want to sit there, listen to whatever topic that they were covering, or if the employee left and did not participate, and they were harmed in any way, they were docked pay, they were fired, they received a write-up, that would be a violation of the law, and the member would have a right of action. They would be able to hold the company accountable. And what we've seen is some of these companies have some pretty deep pockets, right? So
They sure do.
They would rather say, I'm just going to take the penalty. So we wanted a ratchet effect. We wanted it to be per person, not per meeting. So again, this did not infringe on, the free speech of the employer. It just gave the right to the employee to not have to listen to the personal, political, or religious topics that the employer might impose upon somebody.
They probably spend, what, billions of dollars a year union busting?
Oh, I'm sure.
Billions of dollars a year corporations spend. We're not making this up. To tell you how bad unions are. Just imagine if they took those same billions of dollars and invested them in the workers. Unions are asking for safer working environments, livable wages. The fact that the difference between me, myself going and a union is, when I go by myself, I've had non-union jobs. It's me. Matter of fact, I used to have a boss from hell. And that woman would nitpick everything I did. And it was me going by myself. My bonuses were based upon not my actual job, but because she did not like me. And I went and fought with her. Every time it's time for bonuses, that woman was so mean to me. It was me by myself. The difference between me having a union job is I now have a group behind me. And I can go and do my job, and me and my coworker pretty much make the same amount. We do the same job, we're getting the same amount. There's no competitiveness and cattiness of me. If I want to, work a little bit harder, that's on me. But I don't look at my coworker and say, well, you don't work as hard as me. There's none of that in a union shop because we're both getting paid the same regardless. It's just, do I want to work more hours? How many? So I don't think people realize that. I think that they don't realize that when we put this law in the books, I need to get back to that, it was to protect workers. Because if you're not in a union shop, you need even more protections than us in a union shop. That's basically what I'm trying to say. Am I
Absolutely,
right?
absolutely. So, unions actually set industry standards, right? So, anytime that you can tear down a union or not become union, you are essentially keeping standards low. Bottom line. It's the bottom line. This law would have helped unions. It would have helped inside a union campaign. So, say that there is a group of workers that wanted to unionize. And right now, one of the first, and you can go through many, many stories, one of the first things that they do, the company is hire an anti-union company, a union-busting company, that goes in and forces their employees to sit in a room, and they can tell how terrible unions are, how they're just going to steal their money, how they're not going to have any freedom. They are going to not be able to have a relationship with management, and all of these different things, even up to and including, the company will go out of business, which is also a ULP, by the way. But most people, especially ones that work for non-union companies, are not going to know that. So this would have been a game changer in so many different areas. But as it pertains to Teamsters, that is probably one of the largest ones.
And I think what our listeners need to understand, so when we're talking about legislative session and things like that, Tammy works year-round. The legislative session started at the beginning of January, but you said you were working on a bill before.
Yeah, so legislation goes through January through May. So you might have a couple of weeks off here and there with all this veto surprise. We're still going at it pretty hard. But it's the off season where laws come from, right? So during legislation season, the laws have been drafted. They've got sponsors on there. They've got all the language going, and they just need to be introduced and go through the process of the whole process through the House, the Senate, and then ultimately the governor's desk, should they be successful. It's the off season where these bills are created. So you would start in probably June. If you have a concept of a bill that you would like to be introduced in January, you actually have to have your bill pretty much done in December, because you have to get it ready to be introduced in January. So it is a year-round process. It's not just in-session process.
And see, that's why we want to talk to you. I think a lot of our members, when they hear this episode, I hope they see what I know, and we want to communicate with them, is that when we're doing all this stuff, this is a year-round process. We basically get no days off, in a sense, because if you're telling me, it almost sounds sports-like. So during the off season, I think people still train and they're still going. So during the off season, you're still working and thinking about bills that you either may hear about or you may think about that affects our members, and how to put them, go talk to multiple legislators, and then, dang, you're busy. And then between having the endorsement process with the PFC and interviewing these candidates, which also plays a part into elections do have consequences, and there's good consequences and bad consequences, because when we're doing this endorsement process and I'm in the room, we're asking these people questions about how they feel, not just how you feel about labor, what have you shown labor?
In real time, we do check up on the candidates that are asking for our endorsement. And there are labor champions, and there are people who say they're with labor, and people who say they stand behind labor. We need candidates who are not afraid to stand with labor, not behind, not on the side. Stand with us, out in front, and be proud.
Absolutely.
Politics was always a part of my job for the last couple of years, but it was only in this January and when Secretary Treasurer Dean Modecker decided that we need to play a bigger role in politics, and we needed to make sure that we were down there keeping our eyes on things, making sure that if there's anything that's going to help or hurt our members, we are there to either oppose or to lift up that legislation. And that's what we did. Started January. So obviously the Worker Freedom Act was something that we were pushing very hard, and that would have made a tremendous difference in the lives of people that wanted to unionize, as well as give folks the right to not sit in political or religious meetings as well. But there was another bill, it was House Bill 1373 that had came through. It was an alcohol direct delivery bill. And the way that it was originally drafted, it would have put 500 Teamster jobs at risk. Those Teamsters work at Breakthrough Beverage, Eagle Rock Distribution Company, and Southern Glaciers Wine and Spirits, and in the warehouse and as drivers. And this, had it passed, and the way that it was originally drafted, would have definitely had a negative impact on those workers, whether it be job loss or a reduction in pay. We were late to the game. We were not stakeholdered. We let the sponsors know that we were not happy about not being stakeholdered. And ultimately, by the time that it reached the Senate, we were able to agree to some amendments that eliminated the impact on Teamsters. We fought against this bill all the way up until that very last hour in the Senate, where we were able to get those amendments on, and I'm talking about the Senate committee. And then we did end up taking a neutral position because we were able to eliminate the danger of Teamster jobs. However, the bill still did not pass. It died in that Senate committee. But I do believe that in some way, some form, that we are going to see that bill resurface again. And it's brought up and it's shown to the public as job-saving bill for the smaller liquor companies that are having a hard time. And I am not saying that they are not having a hard time, but you cannot put good paying jobs with great wages, benefits, healthcare, pension at risk to maybe help somebody else out, is what I'm saying. So we would have lost jobs, and it would have been detrimental to our members. So when we will be ready when that bill comes, I do have a feeling that we will be a part of that stakeholdering process this time around if it does come back around. No guarantee that it will, but no guarantee that it won't. But those are the things that you have to be there for and listen for, because had we not been at the Capitol, then it would have went through without us saying anything, and we would have just been on the other side of that with job loss.
And see, that's what I'm saying. So the best thing, as you said, the best thing that Gene did, one of the best things, he's done so many amazing things since the transition from Steve to Dean, and they are both great. But the fact that we have you on as a full-time political liaison, badass powerhouse at the Capitol, they see us all the time. I know that you are really good about I've been down there with you, where we're down there and they see us. I think it's good for them to see us and realize that, hey, we're here and we are here to be involved. So to protect our workers, and the fact that, like, even with the AFL, and I can say this as a trustee, when we go to like these conventions and stuff, it's amazing when they see us, because I think for a long time we were there, but now it's more of a presence that we have when we're at the, matter of fact, we're going to the AFL convention, aren't we going?
Coke convention at the end of the month.
At the end of the month. And then they see us, and it's our presence, and us talking to these other unions, and the other unions talking back with us, and us having these conversations. Because I think what the general public needs to understand, and I hope Polis watches this, I hope if you don't watch anything else, you watch this episode. It's not the Teamsters against everybody. It's the Teamsters, and we're working, the other unions also, they're working together. I think I see that. Maybe it's because I'm newer to this. I see it being a coalition of these unions working together, because we realize an injury to one is an injury to all. So we're not trying to injure any other unions, but we all have our own stakeholders in this. And I think it's more of us working together. Would you not agree with that? I think it's us working together, because like that one convention we went to, it was a group of unions that felt one position for this particular candidate that they were going to endorse, and we had our own perception, but then we still talked about it, and we may not agree on everything, but I think there's this mutual respect amongst the unions, and more of a everybody kind of working together. Am I wrong by saying that? Not that they didn't before, but it's more of a group working together and realizing we're stronger by force if they don't feel like it's Teamsters against the SEIU or whatever. Am I right?
I would agree with that. I had not been in a lot of those groups or coalitions or rooms prior, but what I can tell you in the last couple of years, and even more so over the last year or so, is that we are working together, different unions. We are collaborating. We are standing up for one another, and we need to. We are on the side of workers, right? We are, we have our same end goal, right? We just want to make sure that workers are protected, that our members are protected, that we held legislators accountable for what they say and what they do. And we also let them know that what they do at the Capitol has real impacts on working everyday people. And being left out of these conversations that impact our members is not something that we're going to stand for. You know, we are going to show up for our members every day, every time, and make sure that their voices are heard.
Absolutely. I think it's really cool because, like, last year when UPS was in contract negotiations, there were so many unions that came out when we did our practice picketing, and when we were just at Coors, there was different unions out there. Like, we are supporting each other, and when other unions have things, then we're supporting, because we all are working together, and it's beautiful to watch as like a regular person, and me being me, it's beautiful to watch to see all these unions together. If any of the other unions have any picketing. We're not crossing picket lines, like all of us working together for the greater good, for the impact that it has on whoever's membership it is. It's beautiful to watch that as a regular person, and then to be able to explain to my mom probably won't like the fact I'm gonna say her age, but she should know how old she is. She's 73. So it's kind of cool for me to be able to explain to her, this is why this is so important. This is what's going on with these issues. Even if it's not our local or our union, when I explain to her what's happening with the other unions, then it makes it more relatable.
Absolutely. And I would like to point out that at the action in Fort Collins at the Anheuser-Busch, which was early January, and then we had this other action just recently at Coors. All the other unions stepped up and they were there with us. We saw SEIU, we saw CWA, we saw, CBTU. There were so many, everybody showed up in droves, to support. So they do that for us, we do that for them. The King Supers strike lines, we were out there to support. The SEIU Kaiser, out there in support. So this labor movement takes all of us. It takes all of us. And I was so proud to work with the different unions on the Worker Freedom Act. And, when you start seeing people kind of look at everybody and saying, how come all the unions are getting along? What are they going to do? I mean, they might be afraid of one or two of us, but when 5 or 6 of us are standing in a corner, they take a double look.
It kind of reminds me of one of my favorite movies, Drumline. One of my favorite quotes. I use it all the time because we all know I don't do good with sports analogies. One band, one sound. That's what's so cool about this whole movement in labor and unions. One band, one sound. I love it. So, one of my favorite questions, I'm going to ask you the LMG. Leaner, meaner, greener. What does that mean to you? Everybody's getting the question.
First of all, leaner is that, we have to, as an organization, come together and be all on the same page. Show solidarity, show that we are somebody that doesn't have a lot of fluff, that we mean what we say, and we do what we say. And then, we're there for the work. It's not, we're there for our members. We're there to get it, to get the job done. And we're going to do it in the most efficient, the most streamlined, and the most, I'm going to say rambunctious, but I don't know if that's the right word.
I'm down
right?
with it, yeah.
So, so we're there for the fight, and we're just going to get it done. Without any of this extra, we have our plan, and we're going to go.
And I think we're really good. We're getting really good at this lean, streamlining it. I like it that way. And what about the meaner part? Which is funny that I'm asking you what's the meaner part, because if you know Tammy, she is like the biggest sweetheart. But you're feisty too. But you're like feisty in you do it in such a way you're almost like my mom. She can give you so much sugar that you don't realize that underneath there's a little bit of spice, and that's you. So I want to hear your mean part.
Well, the meaner part for the local, I mean, we just show up. We're loud.
We're very loud.
We just don't take a lot of
Bullshit.
stuff. Right.
See how my shit's bullshit.
We don't take a lot of that stuff. But for me, I reserve the meaner or more aggressive part for when it really matters. I'm usually pretty even-tempered, try not to get too upset, but there's a time that comes where there is no more fooling around, no more Mrs. Nice Girl. We got to get this done, and we got to get it done now.
Okay, and the greener part.
The greener part is making sure that everybody is well compensated for the work that they do, right? That we are recognized for the hard work and the hours that we put in. Our members are recognized for, which most people have already forgotten, you know, the early days of the pandemic, that are making deliveries in the grocery store when we didn't have a vaccine, that are, you know, taking their delivery clothes off in the garage so they can go straight in the wash machine. They didn't get any days off. They didn't get any extra time off. You know, they didn't. They got said, you're working more.
Absolutely.
There's more on your truck. There is more here. You're going to have to stay longer. You're going to have to do more with less. And then as soon as the vaccines come out, and as soon as, you know, the world starts coming a little bit, we had made our essential workers feel like they were expendable. Outside of that pandemic, all of these contracts that we have left to go, the greener part is making sure that these companies remember that they got to work from Zoom, and our members were out there doing the hard work, getting sick, afraid for their kids, afraid for their families, and they need to be compensated as the heroes they were.
Yeah, I'm trying to get, you're 100% right. The scariest part as a delivery driver is I'm out here delivering and people are catching COVID and I got to go home to my kids. And then when the vaccine came out, if it wasn't for our local working with the governor's office to have mobile vaccine places at UPS, we probably wouldn't have even had.
And I'd like to point that out for Governor Polis. We were the first, online with you guys at Cargill Meat Solutions, getting people's shots in their arms so that our members could be safe. And there was a time that we felt acknowledged, maybe is the right word, to where we go circling back to last Friday, where this very important legislation was vetoed on your watch.
I think that's what, now that you bring that up, I think that's what kind of hurt my feelings as a Teamster and as a Colorado semi-native. I would like to say I have dual citizenship. It hurt my feelings because I do remember when we worked closely with the governor to protect our members and to keep Cargill Meatpacking Place and UPS delivery services going. And I remember him going to UPS to get these vaccines.
And sitting in the truck.
And sitting in the trucks. And then to circle back. And this Friday happened.
And I would like to also point out that along with the Worker Freedom Act, there were two other labor priority bills that were vetoed at the same time. One was wage theft in construction. I do not know how you can veto wage theft, how you can veto somebody getting the pay that they have earned, that they're entitled to. And then the other one was the HVAC bill, which would help schools get grants and different monies to put clean air into our schools. I just have no words. So 3 major parts of legislation were dismissed with a signature of a pen, a veto pen, that really would have made a huge difference in the lives of workers in Colorado.
I don't know about the rest of the audience. I'm speechless.
The rally. That's why I wanted to circle back with the 3 bills. We are going to be doing a rally this Thursday, the 23rd at 4 p.m. at the Capitol on the West Steps. Please come out and join us. This Thursday, 4 p.m., West Steps of the Capitol. Show Governor Polis that we stand with working people.
Absolutely. So whether you are a Teamster or a union member of any local, we don't care if it's IBU or whoever you are, even if you're just one of my customers who likes to talk to me and let me deliver your packages. We are asking if you could be at the Capitol this Thursday at 4 p.m. on the West Steps. And just in case, if you're not from Colorado, the way you know you're on the west side of anything in Denver, Colorado, is if you can see the mountains, that's going west. So if you can be there to support,
Just follow the Teamster truck.
Oh, the Teamster truck is gonna be there. By the way, our Teamster truck is pretty badass. I'm not trying to brag, but somebody in this room has a talented child. My children are talented too. They're not that talented. May have designed the Teamster truck. So if you can be there, please support. Anybody and everybody is welcome. I'm pretty sure they're not gonna have food though. So make sure you have a snack. Make sure you have comfortable shoes. So I have fun. I told you it was gonna be fun.
You did, you were right.
Okay, so then we're going to end this with Know Your Power, Union Power, Teamster Power. So we're going to ask you guys to follow us on Teamster Talk on Facebook and Instagram. Follow the local on Facebook. The local also has a website, teamsterslocal455.org. So thank you so much for listening to us. Tammy, thank you so much for being here with us. I hope you had fun.
I had a great time, thank you.